What is up, everyone? I'm Ryan from Fireside Knicks, and I'm here with my friend and co-host Dylan Backer. And the Knicks, I think, pulled off what I would call not improbable per se, because I feel like that's suggesting that there's an insurmountable odds, but more so a game. They kind of stole a game here. This is a game I didn't think they were going to win. When we discussed this game, we talked about how the Knicks not having Randall is really going to hurt them against a team that has a strong interior presence. And while Donovan Mitchell went out and he was absolutely dominant, Jalen Brunson was even better, right? And we talked about that with Jalen Brunson as well. We talked about, needing Jalen Brunson to be the catalyst in order for the Knicks to win that game. But they scored 130 on the Cavs. A game that I thought was going to be a defensive grind ended up being a blowout. Or not a blowout. Well, not really a blowout, but a pretty confident win. And they scored plenty. So, there's a lot to talk about from this game. I think there's plenty that we want to get into. There's a playoff clinching scenario tonight against Washington. We'll definitely discuss that. But with that being said, and everything that's been going on with the Knicks lately, Dylan, how are you doing today, my friend? And how do you feel after that Cavs win?
Right, so I'm doing good first off, and that Cavs win. I mean, you couldn't have said it any better. I mean, that was unexpected. I'm not, obviously it's not like insurmountable. We still had Jalen Brunson, of course, but it definitely wasn't expected. Coming into that game, I didn't think our odds were really in our favor. Now, and then we ended up winning by 14 points, and like you said, Donovan Mitchell still had one of the many games of his life, if you want to call it, because he's had so many of those games. It's almost become normal for him, right? But Jalen Brunson was simply the better player. Like you said, Brunson had the game of his life, the actual game of his life, a career night, 48 points, new career high, and 9 assists as well on like 18 of 32 from the field and I think 7 of 12 from 3. I mean, that was just like phenomenal efficiency, phenomenal scoring. He put on a clinic. He put on an absolute clinic on Cleveland. And I know Cleveland didn't have Jared Allen, but they still had Evan Mobley. We didn't have Julius Randle. So we were still the one that at the disadvantage here, right? And we went into Cleveland and just took one from them, really. And given the circumstances, that was probably like their biggest win of the year. I saw Fred Katz tweet that, and I agree with it because, I mean, like, that was a huge win. You pretty much kind of like solidified, like, all right, they're this close to a playoff scenario, going back to the playoffs. That win right there was pretty much like, all right, we're pretty much going to be in the playoffs now because they needed to win that game to have a good shot at it. Like to not they already had a good shot, but like to definitely be able to feel more comfortable about making the playoffs and not have to worry as much. And they went ahead and did it. And they did it without their all-star. So, credit to them. I think there were 7 Knicks in double figures against Cleveland. A lot of guys played well. A lot of guys did their part. I think Obi Toppin had 12 points. RJ Barrett had like 14 or something like that. Lots of guys contributed. It wasn't just Brunson. Brunson was obviously the bulk of the scoring, but it wasn't just, wasn't just him doing everything. The other guys were contributing. Hartenstein was playing great defense. Mitchell Robinson, I think, posted a double-double. The guys came to work and they showed up. So really good win. I mean, there's not much really to complain about it other than, you can't really point out the defense as much. I mean, nobody on either side was playing good defense, one, and then two, Donovan Mitchell was just hitting everything. I mean, there's only so much you could do about him. He's a superstar level talent. He's one of the best players in the league, one of the best scorers in the NBA. It's tough for anybody to stop Donovan Mitchell. So the fact that they were at least able to match him on the other side of the floor and be able to, come out on top, even with Mitchell dropping 42 points, you take that. You take that as a win. That's a pretty successful win if you ask me. Like I said, it's pretty hard for anybody to stop Mitchell. And they actually tightened up the defense well in the fourth quarter. So, they actually played solid defense to finish out the game, which is huge. They kind of steadied the ship throughout the game, kept it close, and then fourth quarter they just pulled away. They pulled away and ended up winning by double digits, which I didn't expect coming into that. So that's a good win right there. And now they've put themselves in a position where they can clinch, basically just win and they're in. Tonight they played the Wizards. All they got to do is win. If they win this game, they are in the playoffs. It's simple as that. Last night they could have clinched last night if Miami would have lost, but unfortunately for us, Miami won that game over Dallas. So kind of a bittersweet game for us at that because, we also have Dallas's pick. And Dallas's pick could potentially fall into the top 10, which would hurt us because then we would lose that pick. But looking at that, we kind of just need. Right now, I'm focused on simply just getting in the playoffs. And tonight, they have the opportunity to do that by simply winning. All they got to do is beat the Wizards at home. And quite frankly, I like the matchup. It's the Washington Wizards. They're not exactly a very good team. They're kind of like just toward the bottom of the Eastern Conference. I think they're like 10th, so like one of the last teams in the play-in spot. But, I think the last time we played the Wizards, we actually lost against them. But normally we've handled them pretty well. And honestly, it's the Wizards. You should be able to beat them, especially since you're at home. So hopefully they can just, come into the Garden and just win tonight and get yourselves in the playoffs and then focus on finishing the remaining games of the season and then securing the fifth seed. That's what I'm hoping for. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I 100% agree with your take on the Wizards there. I'm sorry, but the Knicks should beat this team. Porzingis is out. He's not going to suit up. Kyle Kuzma is out. He's not going to suit up. Bradley Beal is out. He is not going to suit up. There's no reason to lose this game. None at all. If you somehow manage to lose this game, I will be beyond, like, disappointment doesn't even describe my first emotions. Again, this is how I felt with the Rockets game where we didn't know if Brunson was going to play or not, and he ended up not playing, and the Knicks still blew them out. I don't care if you only have one of Brunson and Randall. This is a team that is sitting their three best players, their three best scorers. I do not care about, you could have neither Randall or Brunson, and I still think you should win this game. Coming into tonight, the Knicks should clinch tonight. It should be tonight. Don't mess around. Just get it done, right? You have two matchups with Indiana and a matchup with New Orleans sandwiched in there. You win this game against Washington and just win one of those final three games, and I'm pretty sure you're going to win pretty sure you're going to go out there and say you've gotten the fifth seed. The Nets are playing Utah today at 3:30, so we'll actually figure out, if the Knicks have an opportunity to really put themselves in a great position with the fifth seed. But as you mentioned, this is a winnable game for the Knicks. I don't even want to pick one person to stand out. I think I think absolutely anyone on this roster could go out and drop 30. Not anyone on this roster, but most of our primary options scoring wise could go out and have a big game. I would say I feel like it's gonna be RJ Barrett just because he hasn't had the opportunity to just put up a big night in a while. No Randall there with a really weak Wizards defense and the fact that he's usually the number one scoring option on the second unit. I think this is his night to have a big game. What do you think?
No, yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, RJ is definitely something to watch for. The Wizards aren't playing their best guys. This is the chance for, RJ to kind of take over and get his big game. Brunson had his big game against Cleveland. Brunson can have a big game any night, but, we haven't really seen a big game from Barrett in quite a bit of time. Unfortunately, I think we're going to consistently start seeing, 14-point performances, 15-point performances from Barrett, which, you'll take as long as the efficiency is good. But tonight, I feel like he'll have a much bigger night. I can anticipate maybe like a 25, 27-point game from him. I can, especially without Randall on the floor and with the Wizards' weakest links on the floor tonight. I definitely think like that could play a factor into that. Maybe they'll try to get Barrett some better looks. Do I think they'll force feed Barrett into good looks? I hope not. I hope they don't do that. I hope they can just, I hope they let the game kind of come to him and let those looks come and not just, force it. But we'll just have to see how that pans out. But like you said, I agree. Anybody can have a big night tonight. This is a Wizards team, like you said, they're sitting their best three players, Beal, Porzingis, and Kuz. They're not playing. So you kind of got to take advantage of that and, get a big game. Have a big game. It's just like the Rockets game, like you said. They didn't play Brunson, and then they ended up blowing them out. You got to do the same thing here. The Wizards are playing none of their good guys tonight. The Wizards are kind of throwing in the towel with this one necessarily, by sitting out their best guys in a game that, quite frankly, means much to them because they're kind of close in that play-in scenario too, right? So it's not like a meaningless game for Washington. It's just, guys are hurt and they can't play them or they're sitting them for rest or whatever the case is. If they're injuries, of course I hope they heal and stuff like that. I would not be like happy for injuries. No, of course not. But point is they're not playing their guys, so you gotta take advantage of that. Quickly could have a big night. Josh Hart could have a big night. Brunson, of course, could have a big night. RJ Barrett hopefully could have a big night. Anybody really can step out there and have a big night. This is the type of game where you gotta kind of just go in and win. That's all you gotta do. Just go in and win. There's really not much else to it. You don't need to really. There's not like a specific game plan. I guess you have to worry about a specific player because literally their three best guys are out, right? So you just go in there and win. That's simple. Go in and win. Because if you win, you're in. You're in the playoffs. Simple as that. I mean, it's a pretty simplistic game plan, I know, but there's really not much else to it. This is a kind of game that you kind of need to just. You kind of just need to take advantage of and win. It's simple. It's very, very simple. There's not even much you could talk about with this one because, like you said, none of their good guys are playing. So you can't be like, oh, they got to worry about Bradley Beal doing this or Kuzma getting hot. No, they're not playing. So you need to take advantage of that. You need to actually, just keep your foot on the gas. Don't let up from that Cleveland win and come in and win. Simple. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like today should just be a day where I'm seeing I should be seeing guys who are out of the rotation playing in the last 4 minutes of this basketball game. That's how I feel, right? The three guys think are out just because they're resting them because they are not in playoff contention, and I'm imagining it's better for them at this point to just suck as bad as possible and lose as many games. It helps their lottery odds. Grimes has played a lot better lately, which is good. That's coming off of that Cavs game. You've seen him shoot the ball really well lately, and I think, for the Knicks at least, we've talked about this a lot. This isn't a team that does not have great three-point shooting numbers relative to the league. They need this, right? This is a game where you just feel like you feel like this is a get-well game for a lot of guys in the Knicks. A lot of guys who are struggling or not finding their shot. Be aggressive today. Don't be dumb. But play aggressive. Like Grimes, I think, mentioned playing more aggressively and, trying to be a little more of an aggressive scorer. And I think it's worked for him. I think that that's the right mentality he should have. I think it's worked excellently for him. There are guys who could benefit from that. I'm not saying RJ is going to be able to go out there and take, 20 shots a game in the postseason, but today he can. Today he can take 20 shots, right? Take advantage of that. Find some sort of rhythm. And again, just put them away early. Don't let them hang around. Don't have that third quarter where they outscore you by 15, right? Just play good basketball. Just win every quarter. I mean, you're right. There's really not much else to say here. I don't know if you have any final thoughts on this game because, quite frankly, I mean, it's really just beat them.
I mean, it's simple. Win. I mean, there's, like you said, this should be a game where they're, 4 minutes left, 5 minutes left of the game, they're throwing in the towel, the guys out of the rotation and playing, or even earlier in the fourth quarter, they're playing guys out of the rotation. Do I think they're going to win by like 50? No, because they don't have Randall. I don't think that's going to happen. Do I think they should win by like at least 20? Absolutely. I do think they should win by at least 20. If they don't win by 20, you take the victory, whatever. But, this is a type of game where you kind of got to expect a blowout win. You kind of have to. You don't want to get too optimistic and too cocky, of course, because it is still an NBA team that the Wizards are going to be fielding on the floor. So anything could happen. But still, they don't have their best guys. You are the heavy favorites. You are heavily advantaged. Even without your all-star, you're still advantaged. So you got to take advantage of that and just get a win. Get a win and you're in. I mean, like I've been saying, there's not much else to it. Quickly could have a big night. This is a chance for Barrett to have a big night, like you said, take more shots, get a bit of a rhythm, so that way he can find his rhythm as the playoffs approach, because we are going to need him in the playoffs. It's important that Grimes has been, lately finding his rhythm. He's taking more shots. He's being more aggressive, which is a very good sign to see, because he wasn't taking many shots. So somebody must have told him, in the coaching staff that, hey, you need to take more shots. We need you to be more involved in the offense a little bit more. And if that is the case, it's worked. He's taking more shots and they're falling, and not only that, but the offense is so much better when he's doing that. We just scored 130 points without Randall, without him, and it's not even like Grimes had like a big game, but he took more shots than he had been taking. He took like a good 9 or 10 shots, and he had like 12 points, something like that. Obviously, that's not like a huge explosion game, but it's better than having 3 points in 25 minutes. You know what I mean? And like on one shot attempt. So, seeing that is important. Seeing Grimes do that is huge, and hopefully Barrett can find himself into a bit of rhythm. I don't want Barrett to take too many shots, because then his shot diet will get bad, and then he'll go back to taking too many shots in important games and taking too many shots in close games, taking bad shots. I don't want that. I don't want him to create a habit of taking bad shots. But I do want him to find a bit of a rhythm. This would be the best chance for him to do that against a lowly Wizards team that is not playing their best guys, that is kind of just fielding a team that's kind of throwing in the towel a little bit and kind of like, all right, we don't have our best guys. We don't have the advantage at all in this. If we win, we win, but we don't really have the advantage at all. So that's the way the Wizards probably are viewing this a little bit. So I'm hoping the Knicks kind of see that and like, all right, we got the advantage. We know what we're doing. We know how to play winning basketball. So let's just do that tonight against this team and just go out there, get a win, get in the playoffs, and then put our mindset towards mid-April and focus on the playoffs from there on out. That's pretty much all I got to say about that.
Yeah, my final thoughts are simple. Stay healthy, win this game, and yeah, those are the only two things. As long as the Knicks win this game and stay healthy, I don't care how it happens. I don't care if we win 90 to 80. We know what this team is. These next 4 games, barring injury, have no bearing on what this team is, unless they collapse and they somehow don't make the postseason, which I feel like is extremely improbable, that would be like okay, then we'd be having a different conversation. But I think I think we're at the point of the season where we know what the talent level on this roster is. We know how good this team is. We know their flaws. We know their strengths. We have a whole season's worth of data. So just stay healthy and win. That's really all I really care about. But with that being said, I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments below. Give us some score predictions. Give us what you guys think is going to happen tonight. We really appreciate you guys' support lately. We hope you guys are just as excited as we are because, again, we have an opportunity to clinch the postseason at Madison Square Garden. Not often do you get the opportunity to have, your own destiny in your own hands, and the Knicks do. The postseason's gearing up. We'll be here to make sure we feed you guys with postseason content. If the Knicks do clinch tonight, we're definitely going to do either a space or a live or something just to talk about it. So you guys, if you want to make sure you're in tune with what we're doing, follow our Twitter at Fireside Knicks. Check out our Instagram, check out our TikTok, and of course our YouTube page here. Like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications. And of course, if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star rating. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.